We will now proceed to the very first session of the 2022 GISF under the sub-theme Sustainable Development for Smart Village in America. Our first presentation will be made by Dr. Junghoon on IoP, that is the Internet of Plants. He is the founder and CEO of Telofarm, a high-tech farming startup company that provides innovative solutions for precision agriculture based on microscale sensors. Let us give him a round of applause.
Well, the irony of human history is that whenever good things are coming, bad things will follow, and vice versa. If we have bad things, good things will follow as well. So I'll talk about such story. Well, are we producing enough food to feed the world? Definitely yes. According to the statistics, we are producing more than 4 billion tons of food. Trouble is that 1.3 tons of the food are actually just buried to the ground as a waste. That's the problem. Well, if you take a look at the human history, the very first revolution of agriculture occurred in Neolithic era, as everybody understands now. And how did they do the farming? Well, they settled down. You know, people didn't have to do hunting or forage anymore. And they just grow their own food in their backyard. Surprisingly enough, this practice of agriculture was the most sustainable form of agriculture. If you take a look at any paper, any research, this approach was the best one. So this approach is, surprising enough, very similar to the urban farming and the sustainable smart cities that you guys are talking about now. So where did things go wrong? Well, people started producing more and more food, and they have wanted to produce a lot more food. And the second agricultural revolution occurred in Britain around 17th and 19th century. Well, how did that happen? People developed the tools, and then they started growing food year round. And you can talk about a lot of tools, including engines and then new inventions. But I would like to point out this, the plow. The simple plow, they imported from China. The British people were so wise enough to create many, many plow at the same time and then grow their food very efficiently. As a result, they were able to save the labor. And then the surplus labor, what happened to them? Well, as everybody knows, they went to London. And then they triggered the new revolution, right? What is that? Yeah, the industrial revolution. So this is very interesting. It was always agricultural revolution that triggered new history of conquest, new history of war, new history of invention, all the way to industrial revolution, which we are actually taking the benefit of. Well, so people wanted more and more food actually. So around 1930s up to 1960s, there was a third wave of revolution occurred, especially in the underdeveloped countries. There are three things they invented. First of all, use of new varieties. They wanted more efficient varieties that can produce more food. And second, they used a lot of pesticide because they wanted to actually, save their food from the infestation of the pests. And third, they invented the irrigation system. These are the three elements that enabled so-called the green revolution. What is the problem? You can feel it right away. It's not sustainable anymore. It's actually destructive to today's country. If you go to California and then look at the farmers there, the Mexican farmers working hard in the field, and the big plane is flying over their head and then spread the pesticide. All farmers are soaked with toxic pesticide. And that made everything screwed up nowadays. Well, as I said, good things always follow the bad things. And because of huge production of food, the saving from all kinds of famine and everything, people started thinking about, new way of doing the business. And I would like to include that as a part of agricultural revolution, even though it's more broader in impact. That is actually fourth revolution, and I would call it data revolution. When did it occur? I would point out single year, 1958. When was 1958? 1958 was the year when Jack Kilby of Texas Instruments invented and announced the first integrated circuit. And because of this, he's got the Nobel Prize in the year 2000 because of the impact to human being, because of unimaginable impact to the human being, as everybody knows nowadays, right? And if Jack Kilby was the inventor of integrated circuit, there's a Korean actually who actually contributed a lot to the progress of this data business. And his name is Daewon Kang. Dr. Kang graduated from Seoul National University right after Korean War, and he goes to the US and he obtains his PhD degree at the University of Iowa. Iowa State University, if I'm correct. And then he started working as a researcher at the Bell Laboratory. He is co-inventor of field effect transistor, most field effect transistor that everybody uses nowadays. That is the basis of memory devices and then microprocessors nowadays. He's a co-inventor. And then he is a single inventor of flash memory. The flash memory you guys use, USB memory. And then the memory, they actually collapsed the previous disk driver industry, right? It revolutionized the whole thing. He was the sole inventor of it, actually. And then he was the guy who's supposed to get the Nobel Prize. But sadly enough, he perished while he was traveling because of heart attack. Nobel Prize is not going to be given to a dead person, right? So this is a history of data, and I'm going to talk about this data business a little bit more later. But because this is about the computer, microprocessors, well, before the invention of IC, the computer human being were using were as big as this room. And their performance, well, your mobile phones are performing, don't be surprised, how much times? This big computer is used to calculate trajectory of missiles. Your mobile phones nowadays are performing 10,000 times better than this computer. So it's really surprising indeed. And all these things were possible because of semiconductor technology that Jack Kilby contributed, that Dr. Kang contributed as well. So nowadays, we'd like to look at how this digital transformation can contribute more to the agriculture technology. And in my company, we use such semiconductor technology to come up with a tool they can look into the state of a plant. So in order to look at what happens in the state, the plant, we developed this sharp needle carved out of silicon. And on top of it, we developed the sensor and microprocessors all integrated together. So this is pretty much like the DBS, deep brain stimulation, that doctors are using nowadays to provide the signals to the patient for curing and then to obtain the signals out of the brain. So we are literally obtaining the signals out of these plants nowadays. So this is how we implant our device. What you're looking at is actually a tomato tree, and we are implanting our needle into the tomato tree. So again, this is the result of digital transformation and the data revolution, right? Now, what's happening? Is it okay? Is it okay to keep talking? Nothing particular? All right, I hope it's fine. Thank you. So yeah, so from this plant, we obtain the signal out of it. You know, what kind of signal are we obtaining? Something like this. What do you think? How does it look like? Yeah, it looks like EKG, heartbeat rate. But surprisingly enough, this single peak corresponds to 1 day. I made 1 day signal into 1 second signal to make it look like heartbeat rate. Actually, this is transpiration rate of a plant. The speed of water evaporation through the xylem by the evaporation at the leaf. And it is well agreed that this signal is exactly same as heartbeat rate and pulse, heart pulse of a human being. So it's a really important vital signal. Out of this signal, you can tell whether it's a shiny day, you know, in the morning, sunrise, you know, transpiration rate will increase. And then as sun set, it drops down to 0, right? The next day was cloudy. Well, there's no reason why, you know, plant will do those transpiration, right? Because they don't do photosynthesis in cloudy days. And then at the end of the day, we cut off this poor guy. And then you see the flat liner right away. So what this tells us is that, well, we can really monitor the plant, and then we can tell how these plants are behaving. Do they need the water? Are they sick? Do they need the fertilizers? Things like that. Are they suffering from pest? We can always extract out such kind of signal, you know, immediately, and then, you know, provide treatment. For example, irrigation. So this was the Agri-Tech show, which just ended 2 days ago, Sunday. And through this chairman, I actually requested anybody who can come, you know, I invited them. I don't know how many people came here, but these are really the tomato plants that we grew in the exhibition center in real time. So we used very special LED light, and then we used irrigation system, and then we implanted our sensors in the plant. We listened to the plant, see how they are reacting, and then provided the irrigation water at the right moment, at the right amount. Well, this is our farm somewhere in Gangwon area. You can see that they are producing really nice fruits. These are cherry tomatoes. And if you measure their sweetness, we achieved up to 17.7 bricks, which is impossible with current tomato technology. And then we increased their productivity 3 times than just normal farmers. How was that possible? Because we used a technology to monitor these plants precisely. and then provided the water at the right amount, the right moment. How did we achieve such high quality? Well, we use something called deficit irrigation. Deficit irrigation. We know exactly how much these plants are actually using the water, so that we actually provide just enough amount of water. But at the end of the day, we actually provide much less water than needed without killing the plant, because we know when the plants are actually suffering from too much of stress, they send us a signal. We turn on the irrigation right away. So we were bugging this plant, without stopping, until they produce this nice juice. Well, there are a couple of good things that can occur. You can actually reduce the water. You can save the water. You don't have to dump the water to the river. And then, because you are using such a small amount of water, environment is so dry, and there's no pest area that can live. Pest cannot access here, so we don't use any pesticide. So this is a technology I actually suggest to spread not only to this tomato business, but wine as well. Can you turn up the volume a little bit? We have a Telofarm USA in San Francisco, where we are providing the service to wine industry. Sorry, how much time do I have? Thank you. Soil basis and the plant basis. I can open up the app on my cell phone, pick which block I want to look at, and then I can get a relative indication of, okay, you can see a trend forming. It'll tell us like, okay, irrigate at this time to prevent us from getting. So again, it's the same principle. We monitor and then do precision irrigation to save the water, to make all things sustainable. I'm gonna skip this. And we are also applying this technology to day palm trees in the United Arab Emirates as well. Well, how can this be used for sustainable farming? I would say that we need to try the practice of distributed farming. Currently, if you take a look at left-hand side, this is the beautiful area of Spain, Armenia, where they grow a lot of food in a concentrate system. Use a lot of pesticides, they use a lot of fertilizers. Well, if you take a look at this picture, this is a picture of New Delhi in India, where 27 million people are living there. A lot of people are under the poverty line. Food is not distributed here. That's the problem. And what I'm saying is that, well, let's go back to first revolution. Let's grow our food in the backyard. Now the challenge is that we are not farmers. And what we can provide is that digital transformation. Our sensors, our microprocessors, our cloud systems, AI, deep learning, everything can provide key technology to urban farmers like us. And that will lead us to the next level of revolution, which is space revolution. So Internet of plants are at the heart of it. And then we can go to the space, right? And space is really the smart city. If you want to live in the space, you need to do distributed farming, right? And with all this, I would like to finish my talk. If you take a look at old Korean picture, it says, farmers are the foundations of heaven and earth. Thank you very much.
From the Internet of Things to Internet of Plants, thank you so much, Dr. E, for demonstrating such amazing technology that will revolutionize agriculture. Let's give him another round of applause. The next presentation will be a recorded presentation from Dr. Sangkeon Lee on global consulting for smart city development in Latin America. He is a senior researcher fellow and the director of the Global Development Partnership Center at the Korea Research Institute for Human Settlements. We will now watch the presentation.
Hello, everyone. I am Sangkeon Lee from Korea Research Institute for Human Settlement. I am very honored to be here as a presenter for explaining the global consulting for smart city development in Latin America. As you know very well, there are many development potential, including population, land, energy, and human capital. And in these days, as you know very well, the ICT is becoming a very, very critical factor for the development potential. During the last 50 years, Korea has made a very successful economic development. And while we are doing this kind of rapid economic development, we have experienced a lot of rapid urbanization. So this kind of rapid urbanization cause a lot of urban issue, as you know very well, in the traffic congestion, slums, and environmental issues. So during the last 50 years, Korea responded to these urban challenges through the new town development. So we have this kind of 5 phases of Korea new town development history. So from 1990s, we provide a lot of new towns in the outer ring of Seoul, outside of the green belt of Seoul. So these satellite photos explaining how it looks like. This is the case of Bundang, and this is case of Kangyo. So almost 7 years have spanned from the planning to completion of this kind of new town development. So while we are doing this kind of new town, firstly, we started to provide the basic concept of smart city. So what is smart city? Smart city is, as you know very well, every city has its own hardware style and the software style of a network, including waste, gray water, fresh water, electricity, even in transportation, city streets. So if we utilize the fourth revolutionary technology, including this cloud computing and the internet, IoT, and so on, big data, and then we can collect all the real-time information from the field, and then now we are ready to make our city more smarter than before. Because this ICT function I mentioned, the technology have this very powerful function, including 24-hour monitoring, sharing real-time information, and so on. So our target, our city environment, city itself, and city governance, we can increase good thing like efficiency, productivity based on this kind of ICT powerful function. And also we can decrease the bad thing like greenhouse gas and crime. So that's the reason during the last 30 years, we have implemented more than 70 smart cities in all over the country. Among them, as you know very well, Seoul is the very representative smart city in Korea, which has 10 million population. Okay, from the 1990s, it took almost more than 30 years from the database establishment and the network period. Now, Seoul is getting global digital capital. While we are doing that, nationally, citywide, we have made a lot of legislation for supporting this kind of project, and a lot of a comprehensive plan and action plan. So I'd like to say, like Seoul case, it will be take at least 20 years, 30 years. So building the smart city requires this kind of a lot of times. nowadays, Seoul has this kind of smart city framework, especially they have a smart Seoul platform, which can be expressed as a 6S. This is they play very important role as an infrastructure of smart city. And so during the last 10 years, the crime based on this kind of smart city application and service, the crime rate has been decreased up to 30%, and the arresting rate also increased to 7.5%. And in case of Seoul, before the year of 2000, Seoul's transportation situation was very, very bad, and I would say it's like a chaos. But nowadays, after the bus card system and the Seoul Topis application, more than 66% of the modal share is done by mass transportation. So now Seoul is very well known for its well organized mass transportation. And during the last 10 years, based on the smart tourism platform, the tourists increased more than 3 times. So nowadays they are very well known in terms of the global power index, smart city government, and city performance, as you see. So in other small city like Anyang and like Namyang, they also have a very beneficial effect, including the transportation and the crime rate decrease. So during the 10 years, I by myself has a very wide global consulting experience, including the India and Bangladesh, and especially focused on the Latin American and Caribbean cities. And recently, I've been to Lima, Peru, for providing their master plan. I'm going to explain a little bit later. So in case of Latin American, Caribbean areas, they have a lot of also urban issue. But the most serious issue they have is the urban crime issue. So we need to be a little bit more concentrated to the focusing the smart city service into some security. So crime prevention service might be the most first priority area in this among the smart city application. So the first thing I did for the smart cities consulting is the ICT diagnostic analysis. So what kind of supply aspect and the demand aspect, what kind of service area and what kind of index is utilized for diagnosing the current status of the ICT infrastructure. And this is spider web for comparing with Korea and their each country and each cities they have. So in case of the Brazil, Goiânia was the major our partner for this consulting during the last 10 years. So I've been to more than 5 times the Goiânia for having a lot of meetings, because as you know very well, the smart city spectrum is so broad. So I have to meet a lot of stakeholders, as you see in this photo, including the city traffic signal operator and state police, municipal police, and bus operator. And we did some citizens' needs survey too, okay? So as I mentioned before, transportation and crime prevention is the first and most urgent issue the city have. So this is the 7 smart city sub-system, you know, to address this kind of current urban issues they have. So I'm not going to go through the detail because of the time limit. Okay, so this is the smart city configuration I consulted. So the first thing we have to establish this kind of integrated operational control center, and all kinds of roadway furniture will provide various real-time information to the center. And this center is also connected to the other relevant centers, okay, in order to share and in order to see the synergic effect by this kind of integrated integrating the information platform. So this is their city configured city map, and I proposed this one of the major corridor as a pilot project site. And then the first thing is the adaptive signal control system. So this is the pilot project suggesting Avenue, Castelo Branco. So if we install this kind of traffic detector, and we can optimize the signal operation and providing the variable message sign for the driver, and some kind of enforcing the signal violation, speed violation, and lane violation, and so on. So which make the reduce the reduction of the traffic accident, and also the providing the bus information to the in every bus stop for the waiting citizens. Okay, and the incident management is one of the major area because it causes a lot of unexpected traffic congestion in the city. So if we have this kind of CCTV monitoring system, then it will promptly, we can promptly respond this kind of traffic accidents. And one of the most important thing I mentioned is crime prevention system. And this is the commercial area in the downtown. And if we have this kind of crime prevention CCTV, then it will automatically chase the criminal action. So it is very useful CCTV monitoring system for reducing the crime event. And also in terms of disaster, if we can utilize this kind of the traffic monitoring camera, but in the rainy season, this camera can be used as a monitoring camera for the water level of this upstream river. And then if we find something wrong, and then automatically siren will work for the evacuation of this area. So it will be very helpful for the people who are living in nearby this riverside area. And one more other consulting case is in Argentina. Recently, 2018, I've been to these three small city nearby the Buenos Aires. And then this city is composed of these three small cities, Ensenada, Berisso, and La Plata. These three cities have its own different style of information system. The issue is they don't share any information among the three neighboring administrative area. So when the rain comes in 2013, because of the non-sharing information system, so a lot of people died because they didn't know this kind of heavy rain occurs. So if they had shared this kind of information, then we could save a lot of life. So I proposed to having one integrated smart city center covers all these three municipalities. So this is and then they can share all the disaster related information within one smart city. So this is the phase by phase. So the final goal of this phase development is they have a one smart city center covers all the three municipalities. In case of Mendoza, another city of Argentina, their main concern is this kind of dumping site, which cause a lot of sanitary issues. So we introduced during the last 40 years how the city of Seoul have developed in terms of the waste management area from the treatment side and reduction and recycle and circular economy. Now they are pursuing some zero waste system. So first thing they need to do, okay, this is how the recycling and how to pursue the net zero society. So everybody knows very well. In these days, the 2050, every city and every country are declaring the carbon neutral society. So this is how software side and hardware side we can pursue. So from the every city issuing the domestic waste and sewage and food waste, it can be recycled and regenerated as a when they provide the waste heat and fuel, then it return all the energy to the city. So this is very good example of the net zero technology. And also they need this kind of solid waste information system. So also I provide this kind of 3 phases of the development phases for the city. And recently, I just mentioned before, I've been to Lima, Peru, which has almost also same population to Seoul, 10 million, but they have 4 times larger area, and they are experiencing a lot of urban sprawl issue. In addition to that, the most critical issue they have is, as you see in this diagram, they have a very security issue. So most of the citizens, they are worrying about this kind of security issue, 72%. So we extract 4 areas. Okay, one is security, and second one is mobility, transportation, and environment issue they have. And then we propose them with using this acronym of Lima. So let's make Lima as a livable and inclusive and mobile and advanced smart city. So the final goal is that we will make the Lima as the capital of smart city in Latin America. By what? So I proposed the 4C0 to 4S full. So what is the 4C? Is this one is making the citizen unhappy, okay? Like a CO2, congestion, crime, and complaint. So we need to make 4S full, okay? So by reducing the CO2, we can secure the sustainability and smartness and safety and satisfaction, okay? So we provide this kind of capital strategies. Okay, what is capital strategy? Okay, so one is a choice and concentration. Okay, and we need to make a control tower and plan implementation and evaluation virtuous circulation is very, very necessary. And also a lot of, in terms of governance, in terms of data, in terms of information, the integration is the first thing we need to do. And also Korea as a reference model, we need technical cooperation internationally. And also the assessment of the progress is also very critical area by utilizing some key performance index. And finally, I cannot overemphasize the legal framework, laws and ordinance regulation for the stable progression of the smart city construction. And these are the 15 core projects for the Lima city, making the capital of smart city in Latin America. And the phase by phase, by the priority analysis. Okay, so concluding my presentation, I want to say we need to address the privacy issue as you expected, because the Korean people, in some sense, they are believing if we sacrifice our privacy, then the government will guarantee our security. So in every Korean city and entrance point, exit point, lane by lane, the license plate number is taking, are taking for the security purpose. Of course, we have to sacrifice, but we have very, very strict individual information protection law, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, if this kind of smart city system produce very little benefit, then it will be failed to the it'll become a kind of white elephant. What is white elephant? That is the very useless but very costly. So we need to avoid becoming this kind of our smart city system becoming a white elephant. How we can make this possible? So I would like to say the importance of the tailor-made style of system design, not ready-made style. Okay, so I'm proposing this kind of 5-step roadmap from the problem statement and technical solution and basic design and implementation plan and launching. This is the 5-step roadmap for the tailor-made style of system design and the planning. In addition to that, some administrative support like a consensus building and the legal supporting is also very important point. So, and also in these days, the necessity of business model is getting important for the system sustainability from the initial stage of the smart city project. So the PPP, like a public-private partnership, when they, for example, the Songdo smart city in Korea, from the initial stage, the public side and private side work together for building a fiber optic network, and they are sharing this infrastructure, was saving a lot of maintenance cost. So it was so successful now, they are saving every year more than $5 million. So this is a very good case. And also concluding my presentation, of course, the funding plan is important, technical consulting is important, but most important thing is government driving force by a dedicated expert. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of this kind of human capital who can maintain, who can proceed from the initial pilot project up to the completion of this project. As I mentioned before, Seoul have taken more than 30 years accomplishing their smart city. So it will be a long-term project. So we need very fundamental, okay, supporting experience and technology and governance. So I would like to suggest that how about sharing our Korean smart city development experience for promoting your smart city development. Thank you for your kind attention, and I hopefully this presentation might be very helpful for your understanding the Korean's experience of smart city development. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yi, for your insightful presentation and for sharing your experiences on smart city development in Latin America. Our next presentation is a recorded presentation from Dr. Choi, Sungnam, on digital transformation in agribusiness in Latin America and Caribbean. He is a digital transformation specialist at R&DB Invest. He's coordinated over 30 MOOCs. Those are the massive open online courses, including digital businesses, e-commerce, fintech, Internet of Things, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology through his platform. We shall now watch his presentation.
Good morning to all. Thank you for introducing me. My name is Choi Sungnam, and Data Transformation Specialist of R&DB Invest, located in Washington, D.C. I'm very glad and honored to participate at Global Innovation Seoul Forum and a Green, Smart, and Development and Vision 2022. Congratulations on this wonderful event, and hope to have a successful outcomes through this forum. First, before my presentation, I'd like to introduce R&DB Invest to you very briefly. R&DB Invest is a part of Inter-American Development Bank Group. So we have been investing in many development projects in private sector in Latin America and Caribbean. So we are not only doing loan projects in member countries, but also providing advisory services to them to facilitate their business. Pretty much we are the focus on the small, the medium size is the business. So we are investing in almost every sector, such as the social infrastructure, manufacturing, tourism, telecommunication, transportation, water, the sanitation, and agriculture. Today, I'd like to introduce you to current agribusiness in Latin America and Caribbean. I'd like to share my screen. I believe that everybody can see my screen. So particularly, I'd like to talk about the challenges, the obstacles, and problems in agribusiness in Latin America, and what digital technology or solutions will be necessary to address them. I'd like to start my presentation with this question. Why is agriculture so important in Latin America and Caribbean? Actually, there are many reasons. In fact, the agriculture is the second largest industry in Latin America and Caribbean after manufacturing. In addition, the Latin America region is the second largest producer of agricultural product in the world. The Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, FAO, estimates the Latin America and Caribbean region account for 18% of world food production. Plus, according to our study, growth in agriculture industry is 3 times more effective at reducing poverty than other sectors, such as manufacturing and services. However, agriculture sector is not as the eco-friendly industry as we think. The agriculture generates a lot of the carbon dioxide, which has a huge impact on climate change today. On the other side, agriculture is also the most vulnerable sector to climate change. Therefore, to enable the sustainable agribusiness in this region, it is necessary to analyze the problem and address them. For the last 6 months this year, IDB Invest and Accenture, which is one of our global IT consulting firms, have jointly conducted the research on this topic, agribusiness and data solution. And we recently published the final report. So I'd like to share with you the main findings of this report. While we conducted the study, we initiated and developed a data maturity assessment model and applied it 38 agribusiness companies in Latin America, and conducted in-depth interviews with about 100 the agribusiness leaders, like a C-suite level, the CEO, CIO, CFO, CTO. Basically, through the data maturity assessment and in-depth interviews, we asked them why they need data transformation regarding their business and what they are doing in terms of data transformation. The wrapping up the result, data transformation is not the option for them, but a must-have for a sustainable business. We realized that the data transformation is essential for improving the efficiency and sustainability of the agribusinesses. Also, the securing human resources to support the data transformation is the key. According to our data maturity assessment, the agribusiness in Latin America are currently in the early stage of the data transformation. It means that they recognize the importance of the digital transformation, but digital transformation is not deeply embedded in their business currently. In particular, the lack of a strategic vision and transparent governance for digital transformation troubled defining and driving their digital transformation agenda. They also lack the experience how much they need to invest for digital transformation regarding their business. It is difficult to measure the effectiveness of digital transformation investment like ROI, the return on investment. Digital transformation also required the active participation of employees, which may be difficult for some employees to embrace both technologically and culturally. Moreover, the internet access is essential for digital transformation. But in reality, in many places in Latin America, especially in the rural areas, are not available for stable and fast internet connection. But finally, the digital transformation should not only happen in one single company, but should be linked with the ecosystem of the industry. We found that the ecosystem that supports agribusiness has been established in the Latin America and Caribbean region, but it seems to have weak links with the companies that support the technology or solution. So we believe that digital transformation in agribusiness will be the best way, considering the efficiency in operation, profitability in business, and eco-friendly production. Through the in-depth research, we provided digital technology and solutions according to the digital transformation maturity levels. So there are 3 levels, such as basic level, enhanced level, and the next level. Companies at the basic levels need to build the necessary data and information for digital transformation. To this end, we suggested introducing the ERP, the enterprise's resource planning, and using a digital platform and trying remote sensing or drones for their businesses. At the enhanced level, we propose the companies to adopt a digital solution throughout their business value chain. We suggest utilizing precision agriculture, smart irrigation system, crop monitoring system, smart packaging, and e-commerce platforms. Finally, at the next level, we recommend the companies adopt a new technology and solutions like digital twins and blockchains. In the end of this report, we presented what will be needed for digital transformation journey for the agribusiness company in Latin America. We recommended that establishing a clear vision, securing budget for digital transformation, obtaining the support from the employees for digital transformation, introducing digital technology and solution in connection with the relevant digital ecosystem, and discovering the finance sources through the partnership, and the learning successful cases and stories adopting digital technologies. Based on these findings, From the study, we IDB Invest are planning to provide a practical support for adoption and utilization of data technologies, solutions, to agribusiness in Latin America and Caribbean region. At the same time, we are disseminating main findings of a research report through the webinar and relevant forums like today. So especially we developed the online programs based on the report by collaborating with IDB Academy. So now you can access free program in Coursera, the platform. The closing my presentations, I'd like to emphasize the importance of global partnership. I believe that joint global efforts are inevitable to continue to share some successful cases and to find a new investment opportunity regarding data transformation. So finally, I hope that my presentation has helped you to understand the reality of agribusiness in Latin America and the Caribbean. Once again, thank you for giving me the wonderful opportunity to introduce our study result with you. Thank you very much and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Choi, for sharing your experiences in transforming agribusiness in Latin America and Caribbean region using digital technologies. Now let us welcome Mr. Edmundo Alfonso Ortiz Romero from Mexico, who will give a presentation on strategic intercultural relations for sustainable development, the case study of Querétaro, Mexico. He is the CEO of Nashira and Estomboro SC. He's also the General Director of PPL Development. Mr. Edmundo will be joining us online. You're most welcome.
Hi. 10% of the world today lives in extreme poverty, with less than $2 a day. 2.8 million children die each year from causes related to malnutrition. That means 5 children die every minute. Every minute, 5 children. By the time I finish, 100 more will have died. We cannot afford to lose time when we talk about sustainable development. Here, time is not money. Time is death per minute. I am Edmundo Ortiz, and I came to talk about a successful case of sustainable development located in Mexico, in the state of Querétaro, on a municipality named Colón, under the vision Strategic Intersectoral Relations, SIR model. We will talk about the model later. First, some facts about Colón. In 2012, private investment accumulated in the previous 10 years in Colón was around $23 million. The price was the undeveloped land around $1 per square meter. There was only one industrial park in Colón with 3 international industries. 55% of the total population of Colón was in poverty, and 1 in every 10 people were in extreme poverty. Under the vision of the socioeconomic model, SIR, Strategic Intersectoral Relations, Colón got the first American university campus in Mexico with a private investment of $100 million. This led to the economic growth of the area, bringing new multinational industries. Today at Colón, the private investment accumulated in the last 10 years is about $2,000 million. the value of the undeveloped land increased to up to $65 per square meter. And inside industrial parks, the price runs upwards of $100 per square meter. Colón now has 11 industrial parks, 64 multinational companies inside, which include aerospace, automotive, logistics, among others. Colón also has additional business. Ascent is now operating and Microsoft under construction. Most importantly, the percentage of the people living in poverty significantly decreased, with the population of those living in extreme poverty decreased by the half. The goal is far, but Colón is on its way. Colón has not yet been developed as a housing hub for the middle and upper classes. Most of the professionals of the multinational companies live in Querétaro City, 40 minutes away from the site. There was such an increase in the traffic that the state had to create new roads to and from Colón. Finally, today in Colón, international economic exchange increased to 2 billion and growing. Clearly, we can see the correlation between the events detonated by the SIR and the growth in commercial activity. The question was, it is possible to create a model of sustainable socioeconomic development that satisfies the needs of the different sectors by generating consensus or their common needs as investment drivers? Under the research, I explore the dynamic drivers of intersectoral collaboration, economic development with the context of sustainable development, and how to evaluate the short and the long-term socioeconomic development detonated by investment on a new university campus. The real goal was to find the answer to how to detonate sustainable growth in a region as a poverty reduction plan, not based on charity, but based on investments and the generation of real benefit for the participants. Several economic models were studied, all influencing how I approach the problem of poverty. Part of the idea came from the big push and some interpretation. Then the question was how to detonate it without government spending. From there, I was influenced by Basley, analysis of the relationship between input and output, adding to the understanding of the importance and complexity of the interdisciplinary collaboration I got from Matthew Albert. Afterwards, added to the vision were ideas present into the triplet X model. To it, I add more sectors as a key players. But from this emerges a new problem, how to balance them. I found the answer attending a conference by Aumann. I add his ideas of perpetuating the game theory, giving the basis of equilibrium to my model, and creating the idea of common needs, about which I will talk later. Margarita Castro, an expert in system dynamics and a good friend, introduced me to the system dynamic by Forrester, and we worked together integrating the knowledge. These are the basis of the SIR strategic intersectoral relation model. I could try to set up the rest of the model, but it would look like this. So no, let's stop. What about if we start from the beginning? First, how to select the location. To choose the location, I combined the methodologies of triage and a matrix. Triage is a method of selection and classification of patients used in emergency medicine in scenes of disasters. Triage was useful since it evaluates the scenes prioritizing the possibility of survival, taking into consideration the patient's needs and the resources available. In the situation of immense need, triage prioritized the patients with the highest likelihood of survival, giving balance between gravity and resources available. I approached poverty in Mexico as a medical emergency in cities. The municipalities are the patients to treat with limited resources. From the municipalities in poverty, those that still had the chance to be treated were added to the matrix, around 90. The matrix is used by the automotive industry to evaluate the viability of different locations when they want to build a new factory. This one includes desirable and obligatory criteria. I base myself on their criteria: land, political, geographical, socioeconomic, and available infrastructure. I add some other criteria and modify the values. The combination of the triage methodology and matrix process result on a place with a high probability of success for the poverty fight plan. This is how I choose Cologne. It's easy to get lost in the details. Since I do not have time to go through them, theory, allow me for a second to be reductively simple. After choosing the place, the next step is to identify the common needs among the players. So, oversimplified, for these kids, clearly their clothes are important. Mom will not be happy with them running around naked, but that's an individual need. The ball is a common need. Now, it doesn't matter who buys the ball, one kid, the other, their moms, or their neighborhood. It does not matter if, for example, if the neighbor bought it to have them not making noise around her house. When the need is satisfied, it benefits all of the involved. Same with the SIR model. The understanding of common needs, not individual, the possibility to invest in them by any player, and the opportunity to obtain a consensus of the participation are essential for the model. This meet, then those involved receive the benefits. Having chosen the place and understanding the participation sectors, for example, higher education institutes, investor, transnational companies, non-profit organizations, I analyze the main common needs and drivers among them. Afterwards, I generate consensus among the players regarding these common needs. Generating consensus among the sectors was the most challenging part of the application of the model. Then we established an active method. In Cologne case, an important investment by one of the players. Generating, in consequence, benefits for all the other participants. This is equal to buy the ball in our early example. These benefits were quantified and documented, which translated in knowledge. This, later on, promotes innovation upon which to invest. In our example, this could be someone cutting the grass or buying a soccer ball. What that means is more investment in the place of the change stage and regenerate development. As time goes on, a little store might open for attend the kids. The SIR model tries to determine when and how much must be invested to generate economic development. within a specific community, which leads to controlled and substantial development synergy, to later obtain a profound economic impact in the late possible amount of time. The creation of external benefits, like the benefits for the neighbor in our example, set the basis for a continuous participation from the other sectors due to the benefits they are receiving. Also crucial with the community of the model is the constant creation of knowledge. Knowledge referring to an awareness and active measurement of the direct and indirect needs satisfied with the initial need. The knowledge allows for further consensus to continue to meet common needs that will create benefits to most sectors. Since sectors will not be able to understand in a real way what is the most beneficial for them, eventually reinvest into the model allows the model to jump to the more efficient and beneficial stage. Then, when they obtain the synergy to create sustainable development. As a business and to test the model, the decision was taken to privately invest $100 million in the construction of a university to detonate the area. As a way to regulate the development, we use two variables in the model, immigration and the investment in the university installed capacity, describing and modeling four feedback mechanisms: the employment, the service, and the infrastructure loans. A consensus related to the development of the region is reached. Intersectoral collaboration emerges and consolidates over time, allowing for the creation of a shared vision. The four feedback mechanism, a shared vision aligned, creating by investing effort in generating a shared vision for the region. This shared vision then influences the willingness to invest in infrastructure for the region, which closes a positive feedback mechanism of vision building and infrastructure creation, R4, for example, in the diagram. The overall attractiveness breeds invest loop. It's more than one single feedback process, as it feeds from an accelerated other growth mechanism in the model, R1, R2, and R3. I have shown you the results in Colombia. There is more to the model: mathematical basis, programming, creation of services, attraction of talent, attraction of more investment, impact to education, and job creation. Each could take another presentation. I mention them, however, because these all represent opportunities to the people who are escaping of poverty. It could seem like I have been speaking about Colón. I am not. I am not speaking about Colón or any one specific event. I am presenting on the application of a model that can be replicated and that should be applying all around the world. Based on the model, let me share with you a project and a dream. The project, opening in 2026, 2 of 5 SKSs, shared knowledge spaces, 1 in Spain and 1 in Mexico. Here, 3,000 students per semester, all living and sharing together, coming from 100 invited global universities, will get involved with 100 multinational industries, united in one goal: to share knowledge for the world. 5 investments that will trigger development. And the dream, opening in 2030, a Korean university campus in Mérida, Mexico. We have the friendship. As an example is the Greeting Man in Mérida, where Koreans decide to establish their first community and they set roots since 1905, when they arrived to Mexico. Today, there are more than 2,000 Korean companies in Mexico, with a total investment surpassing $8,000 million. Yes, I dream of opening a Korean university in Merida. We already have 100 hectares commitment as a gift, where we can build the campus, and the support of the state of the government. There is a lot work to do. Mexico needs it, and the Korean industry needs to. Together we can do it. To the organizers of the Global Innovation Seoul Forum, to the Minister of Science and ICT, to the KAIST, and to the Seoul National University, all my gratitude for the invitation to participate. This is a major honor for me. Please remember, time is not paid with money. We cannot stop the clock, so let us use the time to generate sustainable development for the people of the world. 감사합니다.